live.
Hello! Welcome back to Surviving Boredom.
I'm Will.
I'm Topher. It's a beautiful day outside, but unfortunately we're still in lockdown.
Well, I went out for a kebab. They allowed me to...
Stand outside the window,
outside.
drooling like a dog.
Drooling all over the window.
Is kebab ready yet? Kebab, please.
Like I'm a dog.
Scratching down the window. But essentially that was just me living through you. In that moment I was living through your body on an astral plane.
Well, I could feel you, yeah. I could. It's just so off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're back with a new episode.
And a new mic. We bought the blue snowball.
Yes.
Snowball, is it?
The same guys that do the Yeti mics, the blue Yeti mics, a little bit less expensive.
I mean, ironically, it is a white one.
But so far, we're really pleased with it. So please enjoy the crisp, clear, dulcet tones of my voice.
Hopefully. I mean...
not that the content of the episode will be significantly bumped in quality either.
This is the only money we have spent so far.
But we're going to sound really good doing it.
And this is the only money we're going to spend. So get used to it. So today, we thought we'd waste our time by playing a game that was free. How did you find it?
I had it on a watch list for a while. We finally bit the hook.
You're the kind of person who just adds things to your watch list just because?
A wish list, I should say.
Oh, wish list. Sorry, my bad. I wouldn't know.
Wish list or watch list.
Isn't it the same thing, kind of?
It's the same thing.
Yeah. And then you just got a notification that the first episode was free.
Yes. And it still is, to the best of our knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm. And you specifically thought I would enjoy this game because...
Because I know of your legendary love of puzzle games and clickers and that kind of thing. But it might be worth starting off by telling everyone the name of the game in question.
It's called The Council.
The Council.
The Council, and it's by a French company. It's their first game by a French company called Big Bad Wolf. Big Bad Wolf Games. And I don't really know anything about them. Nobody seems to, because this is genuinely the only game that they've done. But it's absolutely fantastic.
It's
incredible.
Spoiler alert, we really like it.
So this is just the first episode for today, but we can't wait to play the next several.
Yes.
So, The Council, on Wikipedia, it's been given the genre episodic interactive mystery graphic adventure with RPG elements like leveling and skill systems.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Isn't it? Isn't it just? I mean, do you want to explain the basic genre? I mean, I know it's given us that, but that doesn't...
It's a puzzle game, kind of in the same vein as old classic point and clicks like Monkey Island. Louis de Richet, the main character, really reminds me of Guybrush from Monkey Island.
Yeah, you did show me that one. I do like that one as well.
A little bit more serious, obviously, not so comedic or like
not
cartoonish.
At all. It's not comedic at all.
But somewhat like a modern day version of that kind of point and click adventure. You don't navigate by clicking around the page. You can actually navigate using a fully 3D character and a fully realised 3D world.
Besides doors being locked, it's open world, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you've got the run of the place. Let's return to it. So what is the setting of this game?
France. I don't know what year it is. Do you know what year it is?
Well, it's during the Revolution, so it's sometime 1795.
That's exactly why you're here, because I don't know. So when is that, sorry?
Napoleon's on the scene, doesn't he? He's a character in this, and he's like mentioned as like consul.
Washington is president,
so it would have to be sometime after, 1796?
Very long time.
I mean, it probably does say at the start of the game. We've got to pay attention.
So it opens with a character, Louis de Richet, like you just said, and his mum, Sara Faustine de Richet. I know Abdul's going to get a kick out of that. Faustine. She is the Faustine Faustess. And they are members of a fictional order, the Golden Order. They do seek occult objects and hidden scriptures. They're very much that kind of order.
Yeah, if you've ever done any reading about occult orders, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, they're definitely kind of a secret society.
That's the right word.
And the point is that they span nations. They've got members from all levels of society, from the very highest.
They could probably achieve anything they wanted to.
Louis is kind of negotiated into this world through his mum.
Yeah. She's quite high up, as far as we can tell. She's quite high up in this Golden Order, and he said that he assisted her in her research and her adventures and things like that. So it opens on them in a room tied together to a chair. A bad guy, obviously, I'm assuming, and he's threatening them because they've stolen a book, the Al-Azif.
The Tome of Knowledge.
this is really the first chance we get to play the game. You know, not much has happened, obviously, it's just open, but the first option we get given is a choice. Our mum, Louis' mum, breaks free and she says, leave it to me, I'll sort this guy out. And we then get to choose, do we trust her and let her do it? Or do we intervene and say, no, mum, I want to help you, you're crazy. And we chose to let her do it herself. I think at this point it was too early on, and no matter what choice we made, it would have turned out okay, or it would have had the same result.
To be fair, we were a bit nonplussed. Like, there's a lot. It throws a lot at you, like, quite quickly. But like, as the sort of game went on, we quickly sort of developed like a feeling for it.
Yes, absolutely. So the first episode is called The Mad Ones. The episode starts there, essentially. I think Louis' mother says she has to go and do something, but she wants to do it by herself. And Louis, get quite frustrated. He says that, no, Mum, I want to come with you. I always come with you. Why wouldn't we do this together? But she's quite adamant she wants to do it herself.
I mean, Louis' relationship with his mother, it's not quite Norman Bates in Psycho, but it's approaching that, you know.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
He has a very difficult, dependent relationship with his mother.
So yeah, one thing becomes inherently apparent. The game is based on choices.
Yes.
Yeah. We get a letter from Lord Mortimer. He asks us to go to his manor to a party, a gathering or something.
It's on an island, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a gathering of...
Think of like Mont Saint-Michel or something like that, like a grand old building.
Grand is the right word.
Like
absolutely.
Mounted on like a
just
like
this
an
hilltop.
island.
Yeah, it's isolated, secluded. That's a while after everyone's realised that Louis' mother, Sara, she's gone missing.
Yes.
So we go...
on her behalf.
Yeah, we go to this, we accept this invitation, we pretend that we're going to the party, but we're actually going to go and look for our mum.
We're going to dig around.
Exactly. So when we get to the island, we meet people, and... Quite
prestigious people. People that you're likely to have heard about.
One of the characters, the Duchess, she says, anything can happen here if you make the right choices.
Yes, this game, much more than other games that I've played, seems to really follow through in terms of giving you meaningful choices.
Yeah.
If you play a lot of games, we have a lot of like binary decisions, but the choices in this game are actually quite subtle.
Yeah.
Like, whereas with other games, sometimes it's like, do I kill the puppy or do I save the puppy? Not only is it like obvious, like kind of moral choice, black and white, but also it's quite obvious to see like what the consequences of your choice will be. Genuinely, like quite a lot of the time, it's like a bit like Walking Dead, the Walking Dead Telltale series.
I found that with Fable 3 because that's one of the things I loved about that game. It was the first game I'd ever really played that gave you choices. Save your fiancé, save the protesting villagers, promise or don't promise. Like you said, very, very black and white. And although I always felt a sense of choice, the end was still inevitable. You know, it was just literally, are you going to be good or are you going to be an evil queen or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, this has so many more levels to it.
Yeah, this game absolutely gives you FOMO. Fear of missing out. Like, some of the best things about this game also are like the fact that the choices that you're presented with are genuinely quite wrenching at times. Like, in terms of like making you sit with your decisions, this game really feels like it makes you accountable for that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of used to, in puzzling games, just trying to like get every possible piece of information and then maybe deciding how to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, you're the kind of person who frustrates me because you walk around the screen looking at absolutely everything.
I want to get absolutely
everything. And I'm like, no, play the game.
It took me a long time to realise that this game, you can't really do that in this game. The closest thing I can compare it to is maybe like the Persona series, where you've got like a daily timetable, you can choose to do different things, go and meet with different people, do different activities that'll boost your stats, but you can't do it all at once.
Yeah.
And I think this game became a lot more fun when I stopped like looking at it like a puzzle game.
Yeah.
And just started playing a character almost and realising that you can't know everything, you can't get every last bit of information.
One of the things I liked is how interactive it can be just for us sitting here. We're playing one character, but because we're playing together, every time a situation or a choice comes up, we talk. What do you want to do? What do you think is the best thing to do? What would we do in that situation? As well as all this other stuff that involves skill points and effort points and things, it actually kind of does come down to your personal choice a lot of the time. So Louis arrived on the Manor Island. He's met a Duchess lady and an Italian Cardinal. Piaggi.
Sounds like a scooter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to hop on me Piaggi.
Louis then has some kind of seizure and he blacks out and has a vision. He's in a room and he's looking at his mum. And the Duchess lady is sitting on a chair. So obviously his mum knows that Duchess lady somehow, maybe part of the Golden Order or something. And then it pans around to Mum, and her arm's been cut off, her hand's been cut off. She's just got this bloody bandaged stump where her left hand used to be. She's got this massive scar, her nose is bleeding, bruised eye, everything.
She's had the work. She looks really grotesque.
Yeah,
actually.
she's shaking, and she just pulls this gun out, the gun's shaking, and she shoots the Duchess lady. But immediately we come out of the flashback and the Duchess lady is asking us if we're okay.
So we know at some point that this is not only projection into the future, but also projection into perhaps other characters as well.
Yes. Now, moving around. It's not great.
I don't like navigation in this game.
No.
That is one.
And I'm sure you felt, like when I was moving around, that I was just being stupid until you had a go at moving around, and then you realised just how fucking hard it is.
It's quite clunky.
Yeah, and when you're watching somebody else play, because it genuinely is so hard, it's frustrating for everyone, you know, because you're just walking into a wall or into the side of a chair. Or
He's kind of got like the turning circle of like a cruise liner or something.
That's so true. I never thought the whole thing has to go round with him, yeah.
He kind of walks through treacle. It's a bit of a chore. There is a run option, right?
Yeah.
You can go a little bit faster and navigate around, but
it's quite awkward with the keys. I mean, you know, I don't know. Anyway, so we only get to walk around for a few minutes before we're introduced to the tutorial. And the first thing we have to do is it flashes up, choose your class. Mm-hmm. And there's 3 different classes to choose from. Diplomat, occult, and detective.
You can sort of like imagine from other games what kind of every other game like what like attributes will be given in each class. But basically, if you're a diplomat, you're convincing. You're good at convincing people. You're a good speaker. You know stuff about politics and society. Efficiency. That's something in this game that's actually quite good. Is that you feel the weight of your own ignorance. Like when characters are talking about stuff that you haven't read up on or you don't know
miss
about.
Opportunities you miss and chances to understand what they're talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
And sometimes that can really matter because it's vital information that you can't go back and find.
Occult means you're like an expert in science and art and sort of deceiving people.
Yeah, you can get people to do what you want.
Do what you want. But we selected detective. I mean, obviously we did.
Obviously we did.
Playing through with like the detective attributes, it kind of reminds me of like really early detective stories, like the foundational texts, like Edgar Allan Poe's Murder in the Rue Morgue. Yeah. Well, that's all I know. Yeah, but no.
I think what you're referring to is the fact that, you know, old style detectives like that, a lot of how they solve their things, which is why we like them, is because it's information that they're getting. It's talking to people, it's reading books, it's artifacts, it's all that kind of stuff, as opposed to nowadays where it's like they don't really have that kind of thing anymore because everything is so technological. This was in an age where it literally all he's got to go on is information that he's receiving, you know.
Yes, it's not CSI.
no. So the detective is, you know, efficient in investigation, and he can read people quite well during conversations. So, you know, I mean, we went with that one.
I mean, those are useful skills to have,
useful, right? Yeah, I mean, they were all useful. That was the point, is that they were all going to be useful. And then it explains that throughout the game, the better decisions you make, the more skill points you earn. It's
also worth noting that just because you don't choose the 2 other classes, you can still unlock abilities and attributes from those classes at an increased cost, right?
Yeah, it just costs more, yeah.
So it's not game ending.
It's worth spreading them around the place right from the start.
We were kind of taking like an occult detective approach.
Yes, very much so. I mean,
sort of the skullduggery and the
I will say, though, that's probably because I had a hold of the controls, because I ain't no diplomat. But I might be an occult detective.
Occult detective, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I could be the world's first occult detective. So anyway, there's more cutscenes and introductions. I think we speak to the Duchess again, and she asks if we remember her, and then we get our first real choice.
And we're like,
and we have to choose between, yeah, we remember you, of course I remember you, of course I do, or saying, no, I don't actually remember you at all. And this is our first real interaction. Basically, you have life points, effort points, and that is essentially your life. If they go all the way down, you can't, you know, you have to restock or go to sleep, or I don't know. We never actually got all the way down yet.
We haven't got that far. We haven't found out yet.
What was it we said? We said, yes, we remember you. We said, yeah, we remember you.
Thinking
that was it, and then she went on to say, prove it. Which was just like, oh God. And she said, where did we meet? And we get 3 responses.
Totally called our bluff.
She totally called our bluff, yeah. And we get 3 responses. The first is, chat her up. so she gets distracted and loses her train of thought. 2, pretend to be hurt, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that, of course I remember you. And the third one, which was guess that it's probably Paris or something like that. We couldn't choose chat her up because that was the diplomat skill.
Yeah, we didn't have the charm to do that.
No, and we couldn't pretend to be hurt so that she believes us anyway because we don't have the manipulation skill.
We're not
from the occult. Yep. And so we had to go with guess that it was probably Paris using our deductive skill.
Yes.
Yeah? Vigilance or whatever it was. Anyway, so we guessed that it was Paris and that was wrong. So she stormed off in a huff.
Yes.
For now, it's kind of just like, it was just wandering around the island, wasn't it? Down by the dock and stuff.
Yeah, kind of trying to gather information. I mean, another point of order is the fact that actually the inventory system in this game is quite a clunky process, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it just comes up like a little blue dot on the screen. You know, you have to walk right up to it until it turns into like a diamond, and then you can click on it and interact with it.
But it just felt like the sensor or whatever, like for sensing when you can pick up things, is calibrated way too like sensitively. Like you have real, even when you can see an item is there, we're sometimes struggling to pick it up. Kind of breaks the flow a little bit.
And that coupled with the fact that it's hard to move around anyway, the camera moves funny, you know, it just kind of, it feels a bit juddery, you know. But that being said, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It looks incredible.
Gorgeous.
All the characters.
If you can think of like places like Versailles, like it really feels like walking through like a sumptuous Baroque.
Well, even now
mansion,
when we're just down on the island, so we're looking around for clues for Mum. We asked the servant, and he said she was missing for 2 weeks. All the staff have been looking for her, and they said they think she's hiding, but she's moving places all the time or something.
Yeah, it seems a bit fishy.
Yeah, everyone else...
There's something you're not telling us.
Everyone is confused by her behaviour. Nobody knows why she's doing this.
Yeah.
Nobody appears as this far to know what's going on. So they found her handkerchief. We got to use our logic skill to convince the servant to give us the handkerchief. Basically, we just yelled at him. We just yelled at him until he gave us the hanky. And then we exposed one of his vulnerabilities, which was logic.
Yeah, so that was a cool moment. That was a cool gameplay moment. You get like a kind of a little like a window comes up on screen and it says, vulnerability discovered. And we realised that, yes, if you can just present things and make them sound as reasonable as you possibly can, the servant will probably do what you want. Likewise, characters have
strengths,
invulnerabilities as well. So they can be vulnerable to one approach and completely invulnerable to another approach. And that adds quite an interesting twist.
Yeah, every single character has a different one, different vulnerability, different invulnerability. So you've got to cater how you talk to each one. You know,
again, we're sort of breaking it down on the level of game mechanics, but when game mechanics work really well, they're seamless.
Yeah.
Like, you stop sort of treating it like strengths and attributes and just a game of numbers, and you start thinking about the characters like they're people.
I don't like games like that. I hate games where you have to pick stuff up. I hate games that have an inventory. I hate games that have skill sets and leveling and all that kind of stuff. I just want story and puzzles, basically. Stories and some kind of mystery puzzle thing. You do play those kind of games. You play that kind of game where you collect things, where you have achievements, where you maybe have a loose kind of story, but within that story is things like assignments and missions and packages and all that kind of stuff, you know? You're absolutely right. It melted away. All those game mechanics melted away because I was just it had all the things that I loved as well. It looked incredible. All the characters are awesome. So there's so much story in there.
I think it's also important to remember, we made the comparison to Monkey Island, but Monkey Island is particularly egregious in its use of like puzzle game logic. You know, combine two unlikely items, click on absolutely everything, idiosyncratic solution to a problem that like how are we supposed to work that out? You know, tie a monkey to a banana and throw it over a bush and he'll bring you back a key, you know, like that kind of idea. And there's none of that in this game. Like everything is very logical.
Yes.
It's a very logical game. If you think about things clearly, this solution will usually present itself. And if you think of something, they've usually thought of it too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive. Again, doesn't feel like a puzzle game. It feels more like playing a character in a story, in a novel.
So a few of the inventory items, really the only two that I've really used so far, one was the royal jelly. and that restores 2 of your effort points, your life points. So it's essentially like a health potion.
Yes.
And the other one was Carmelite water, which meant the next skill use was free. So next time you had an interaction with somebody and you needed to choose an option or whatever, you didn't have to spend any life effort points or anything. Those are literally the only 2 that I've used so far, you know, I mean...
They want to ration it because they want you sort of using your wits, but it is nice that you can occasionally put your finger on the scale a bit and just help things out. Things get really tricky. This game is really good at making you feel like a really smart motherfucker.
Or equally good at making you feel like a fucking dumbass as well.
Yes.
It makes you feel so stupid sometimes. Well, this is where it gets exciting anyway, because then we go up to the manor.
Yes.
And that's when we see it for the first time. Those huge, massive wooden doors open. Gold and marble and shiny and red carpets and chandeliers and really old-style baroque. And there's this huge, massive 30-foot Zeus, Poseidon, Neptune statue like protruding out of the wall, like
monumental.
It's like he's like stooping over the entire room. He comes out of the wall, and I'd be so scared he'd fall off the wall all of the time.
I'm just picturing the servants having to dust him. They must have to have like a crane or something. Like
they must use the tree climbing equipment. Like. So then we talk to that Piaggi guy.
Cardinal Piaggi.
Yeah, and he asks, do you know where Mum is?
Do you know where Mum is? Cardinal Piaggi, at your service.
Yeah, him. He says he has a letter for her. He has a letter that he specifically wants to give to her. And then this is where we get our first confrontation. And that's where we have to specifically convince the other person to do something.
Namely Piaggi.
By saying the right things. Yes. So he doesn't want to give us the letter.
So we've got to talk it out of him.
Yeah, so confrontation comes up on the screen, like in big letters, confrontation! So you know it's going to start. And then you get 3 or 4 blunders.
Yeah, you get like strikes.
Like chances. Yeah,
you get 3 strikes, basically. 3 strikes and you're out. That makes it sound really forgiving. But again, because of the way this game is actually, it's very good at giving you quite difficult decisions, decisions like that. It's not like you look at the choices and you're like, well, that's the right answer right there. Like a lot of it, it's quite hard to sometimes extrapolate from what you're given.
For example,
and some of the most like heated discussions we had and the most fun we had was literally just like, well, if we do this, he's going to say that. Just
didn't happen.
Going back and forth, and sometimes we were genuinely quite surprised by the response.
For example, he didn't want to give us the letter, and the first thing that we said is, you can trust me, I am her son, I'm just going to give it to her when I go in the room, she's probably asleep. And he agrees, and he's just like, yeah, you're probably right, so we get a tick. That's the first blunder, we've done it, we've got the first, And then the next part is he says, how do I know I can trust you? And that's when Louis says, we made the decision. Well, if we tell the truth, that'll make him trust us and give us the letter. So we picked truth, and then we said, I work with my mum in the Golden Order. I do her research. I'm with her all the time. And then Piaggi turns around and says, well, if I could trust you, why did you just tell me that you and your mum work for a secret organisation? So we thought that we were doing the right thing, and it totally was just completely opposite, In the end, we managed to get it, the final confrontation or whatever it was. And he said there was a list of 15 French priests. Apparently, Louis's mum, our mum, is helping them get safe passage, because they were being massacred by the Republican tribunals. That's what Piaggi said. So this is a list of 17 names that's 15 that are ready for passage, and he's got to get it to her so she can sort it all out and they can have safe passage away. So we took the letter and he said, don't open it, and we said, I promise I won't open it.
But we did. And
it was just a letter of 15 names, so it was kind of like, it didn't really amount to anything. Again, we thought we were going to get this extra piece of thing or whatever, but he'd actually told us the truth about what was in the letter. We opened it for no reason. Yeah, so we get the letter from him, and we go to meet, really, the only extra person we meet here is George Washington.
Yes, George Washington himself is present at this gathering. He's taking a break from being president of America. We don't have too much to say to him at this stage in the story.
No, everyone is asking about where Mum is, where Sara Dorochée is. And again, every time we get presented with the question, we have the choice. Do we tell the truth that we're there looking for her because she's gone missing? Or do we just make out that everything's okay and she'll be along shortly or something?
Sara Dorochée is a lot like Poochie. Whenever she's not on screen, everyone has to be asking, where's Sara?
Dorochée? Yeah. Duchess Emily explains that there's more people turning up. Politicians, fancy people, powerful people, businessmen, royalty, all that kind of stuff. So again, it's clearly just a meeting of the elitist of the elite. So we decided to keep it casual with everyone and just like, yeah, she's around somewhere, and we don't really divulge much that we're looking for Mum. I think once or twice we told Emily that we were looking for her. I think we trusted her. We trusted Emily quite early on, didn't we?
We started off playing our cards quite close to our chest.
Yeah. I think she was the only one that we said anything to.
But the thing is about this game is that, again, you will be limited. It's not about not trusting anyone.
Yeah.
It's about using your trust intelligently. And if you don't use your trust intelligently, if you just choose to distrust everyone, you will miss out on very important information.
And that's again about playing as yourself, You're wheedling information out of them as well, You got to get them to trust you. And sometimes that means getting, trusting them or pretending that you trust them.
But there will be consequences.
Yes. We're talking to George Washington and we get to use an opportunity. And it gives you, there's a timer counting down and it gives you roughly 8 seconds before you have to click on one of the little blue dots. And you've got to make the right choice because sometimes you could click on the wrong blue dot. So luckily we chose right and clicked on his emblem from the Golden Order.
Yes. I think it's worth pointing out at this stage that obviously the Founding Fathers, the American Founding Fathers, were heavily into occult practices and the Freemasons and that kind of thing. If you just look at a dollar bill, it's got the Eye of Providence on the dollar sign and that kind of thing. So it totally makes sense that George Washington would be on this Golden Order. I think he must have some kind of filofax or organizer so he can check which secret society he's in this week.
Yeah. Just calls them up, just you guys doing anything this week? Oh, that's boring.
Well, he just goes to the stonecutter type secret societies where all they do is play ping pong.
So apparently this emblem from the Golden Order, Louis said it puts him on par with his mum, with Sara.
with the stone.
And I'm wait, we didn't even know she was that high.
In the stonecutters analogy, he's number 3 or something, number 6.
But our mum is
climb the ladder.
number 2 or something, that almost, she said that almost puts him on par with my mother. I'm he's the president, she's just your mum. How high up in this organisation is she? Seriously.
It's not, it's the order you get in, I guess.
And she's a 60-year-old woman. And she's like Maggie Smith.
Yeah, she looks a lot like Maggie Smith.
A beaten up Maggie Smith with one hand.
Maggie Smith if she'd been in a bar fight.
Yeah. Anyway, so the doors fling open from upstairs somewhere, and then there's what would you call him?
Think of the Prince Regent from Blackadder III.
His face is painted white.
Yeah, he's got
he's got the bright red lipstick and the little blusher on his cheek.
The little beauty spot and the fussy white wig.
Yeah, just court wig.
He looks like Hugh Laurie as well. He's got that weedy neck and things.
But he is the wrinkliest person you've ever seen in your life. It's accentuated because, it is a game, but even so, they really went heavy on those wrinkles,
Yes.
It's,
And he's got a voice that sounds like he's demanding someone takes his suit back. A proper aristo.
Yes.
And what is his name? Ian Holm.
Ian Holm?
No, I think it's just Holm.
Is it Holm?
I don't think it's named
Wait,
after Bilbo Baggins.
who's Ian Holm?
That's the actor.
That's Bilbo Baggins.
That's Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, I love you. I hope he's called Sir Ian Holm. That would be cool. But he's called Sir Holm. He walks in and says, I'm sorry everyone, but Lord Mortimer is very busy tonight and he can't possibly come down and meet everyone. If you want to come next door with me, I will happily host you for the evening.
Again, file that under highly suspicious.
Okay. So now we get a choice that appears to actually matter. We can either choose to go with Holm or stay in the room that we're in, which is where Washington and Duchess Emily stay.
Duchess Emily.
So, what do we do? Do we stay with Washington, who says he knows our mum and wants to talk about her? Or do we go with Holm and try and find out a little bit more about where we are in this whole Mortimer situation and stuff?
So what did we choose?
What did we choose?
Oh, blimey. I thought you...
Oh, yeah. No, we stayed with Emily and Washington. But we do get the kind of feeling that the people that we're with, we can trust. I felt like we could trust Washington and Emily more than we could trust Piaggi and Holm.
Yes.
I felt really... I didn't like Holm. And I know he was small and had the face paint and the wrinkles and the... But as soon as he walked out, I said, I bet he's fucking gonna kill Lord Mortimer.
That's the thing.
And try
it's
and
everything about his character is just telegraphs this is a bad guy. But in a way, that kind of makes you doubt it as well. It's the game is best when you stop sort of second guessing yourself and just kind of go with
Go with what you
not
want,
the flow,
really,
but like
with what you
trust your instincts.
Exactly.
You have to.
So I'd just say we were more focused on finding Mum, and I feel like the main crux of the story is where is Sara de Richet and why is she here and what's going on.
Yes.
So we stayed with them, and we didn't really get any more information, and it wasn't until afterwards it didn't actually really matter, because Piaggi and Home came out of the room back to us, and that's when that blonde lady walked up and passed. She had her head shaved on one side. She was really skinny and frail. She had bags under her eyes. She looked like she was had a terminal illness or something. She was really, really slow moving and
like the wife in the attic in Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, kind of. She didn't look at anyone, and she just walked upstairs and across the top deck and just into it, So her name is Elizabeth Adams. Holmes says that she's too ill to stay with them for the rest of the night and she's going to bed. And then basically suggests that everyone else should go to bed. And then it's just a few more cutscenes of shaking hands and good night, it was nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And then we go into our bedroom. And then we get some more looking around time.
Yes.
Where we get to...
Bit of time to snoop around.
Pick things up and put things down.
Put things up, put things down.
Yeah.
Also, it's important to remember, again, I have to fight against my puzzle game instinct to just pick up absolutely everything. Mm-hmm. This game is really nicely furnished. There's a lot of different items that you can all pick up and interact with, but most of it isn't necessarily significant. It's just there to just remind you that not everything is significant, almost.
Yeah.
Another point of order in the building is that there's a lot of famous artwork draped around. There's Fuseli's and Nightmare. What other artists are there? There's
Caravaggio.
There's Caravaggio.
Loads of those.
Lots of chiaroscuro artists. I think there's some Titian.
I think one of the main points to
just beautiful, beautiful artworks, and they're rendered really nicely as well. They're in their proper resolution, so it's almost like walking around a virtual art gallery.
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
But the art also all ties into the story. You get the idea. If you're walking around a giant ancient old house like that, you're just expecting pull a book. There's going to be a secret passage. There's going to be something behind a painting. There's going to be the whole house is really designed very nicely. There's very little copying and pasting.
No.
Each room is unique. Each room has beautiful artworks to look at. There's a garden.
You can actually interact with all the artwork, can't you?
Yes, and you can interact with the artwork and get a bit more information about the artist. And
pretty much every single one of the paintings, Louis will say something about the painter and what it depicts. As we were walking through the bedroom, one of the paintings on the wall is called Judith Beheads Holofernes. And the statement he made afterwards was, that's quite a dark painting to have, considering the artist who painted it. And I was thinking, that catches my,
your curiosity.
I'm going to have a look into that.
That gets your goat.
I'm going to have a look into that. So I had a look into it. Yeah?
So you had a look into it,
I had a look into it. So, Judith beheading Holofernes, or Holofernes, or something like that. It's a Baroque classical painting of Judith, who is a Simeonite, This
is from the Bible?
Yeah, a Simeonite lady.
Yeah, it would be with Judith, right?
Yeah.
Judith. Okay.
And she's a widow. She was angry at her Jewish countrymen for not having faith in God, that he would overcome the Assyrian people.
They're always fighting. They're fighting the Assyrians, the Palestinians.
That's it. Yeah. So they were being attacked by the Assyrians, and Judith decided she wanted to do something. So she snuck away with her handmaid, and I think her name's called Abba or something like that. She snuck away with her maid to the camp where the captain, Holofernes, of the Assyrians was based. And she kind of got her foot in the door with him a little bit. She started seducing him.
She used her feminine wiles.
She started seducing him. She started pleasuring him. And one night, when he was in a complete drunken state, just completely wasted, she snuck into his tent with her handmaid and she cut his head off.
Yes.
And then they ran away with the head. And when the Assyrians found out what had happened to their captains...
Wait. Let me guess. They were really happy about it and they decided to let it slide and it was all water under the bridge.
No.
Okay. What happened next?
Next, the Assyrians went crazy because they were like, oh my gosh, we're lost. He was like a really motivational, strong leader. Without him, everything fell to shit. So everything fell to shit, and then Israel was saved.
Yes.
Yeah? So, the painter of this picture, she's a lady called Artemisia Gentileschi.
Gentileschi?
Yeah, Artemisia Gentileschi.
Right.
Now, the picture is just incredible. It looks, you can find it anywhere on Google, just type in Judith beheading and it'll come up with loads of different versions of the painting. So, she was considered sort of one of the most accomplished 17th century Baroque painters, and she was the first woman to be inducted into the Florence Academy for Fine Arts.
I thought you were going to say the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Rock and Roll. Yeah, she should be. She totally should be. Anyway, when she was a kid, at 17, I think it was, 1611, her dad was working with a guy called Agostino Tassi, who was painting the inside of this massive place with him, and he was an accomplished painter as well. So he hired this Tassi guy to tutor in art, to tutor Artemisia. Instead, he raped her.
Right.
Yeah. So after he raped her, in order for her to maintain her dignity and secure her future, she had to stay with him. She had to stay with her rapist, this Tassi guy. And when it became apparent that this Tassi guy was not going to live up to that and just screw it, I want to sleep with whoever I want to sleep with, that's when her dad decided to press charges. Now, the interesting thing is, luckily, I can't believe I'm saying this, luckily she was a virgin, so because he raped her when she was a virgin, that was the only reason there could be a court case. Yeah? And then at the trial, it was found out that he was planning to murder his wife, was sleeping with his sister-in-law, had stolen Artemisia's dad's paintings and planned to run away with them, and his sentence was exile, and it never got carried out. But Artemisia, she was tortured at the trial with thumbstocks, with the squeezy that you put on your fingers and they
test her virtue or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
To verify her testimony.
What a scumbag.
Exactly. In 1614, she painted Judith beheading Holofernes. Basically, what she said about it is she painted herself as Judith,
yes, and
she painted Tassi as Holofernes, and that was her beheading her rapist. That was her portrayal of her, how she was able to get it out there. This year, 2020, they were going to open a whole exhibit dedicated to her in the London Museum, it's on hold because of coronavirus.
Well, there you go, but long overdue.
I had to tell her story, I'm sorry.
My God, no, that's incredible.
It was just, and it was just because he said that one thing. I needed to know what was the story behind this artist. And what I love about every single painting in this is it's a real painting. Yes. We could search every single one of these and find a story like that.
Yes, no, it's fantastic artworks. And it just sparks your curiosity.
It brings you the detective out of you. I took those detective skills out of the game and applied them in the real world, and I found this incredible story. So yeah, I had to just pause there for a second. Back to the game.
Well, thank you for that Artemisia tangent. That was actually really informative and interesting.
Well, I was thinking we could do that for each episode. Maybe find another painting and we'll find another story. You mentioned the Nightmare. That's an incredibly, and it's also a famous painting. We can talk about that.
Yeah, well.
But I do like telling stories. I really do like telling stories. Anyway, back to the game. We're looking for Mum at the Manor. We've met some people with agendas and secrets, and we have no idea what's going on, really. And now we're about to turn in for the night.
Yes.
So we go to sleep.
Yeah, so this time he's visited by another vision. Yeah. He's witnessing Sir Holm playing chess. And it's from this mystery person's perspective, right? We do see Louis, but when he talks, nobody's listening. It's like he's not actually, or he can't talk or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. And they seem to be talking about Sara and Elizabeth Adams. We think he's talking to Lord Mortimer. Yeah, we're not sure. Yeah. And then we get a knock at the door, and who should come in but Napoleon Bonaparte. Yeah, I mean, you don't know that, but he's so French, he's short, and he's just got this comical... Oh, it has to be Napoleon. He's got this comical, greasy... Yeah. What's it called? Comb over. No, oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's Napoleon. It is really He's not good. Named, but it's Napoleon. It's really good, yeah. And then we wake up, and that's it. Episode 1 is over. So... and we get a rundown of what we've succeeded, what we failed at, and alternate paths, I believe it says. So we succeeded in getting to the manor,
We succeeded in finding out Lord George Washington was from the Order. We opened Piaggi's letter, but we did get him to trust us, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what we failed at, but that's where the game makes you feel like crap, because then it's just like, you have failed at finding vital information about your mother. Oh, okay. Thanks for that.
Well, it does. Again, it's really tempting to just go back and replay it immediately and just see what you could do differently.
But then even if you were, you would still get a different result because, there's so many different variables within the level. It's not just one achievement.
It's important to remember that you can't get 100. You can't have that go into it with that completionist mentality. You can't go in expecting to get 100% of the answers.
Yeah, again, referring back to your games, like it's like a mission. You start at point A, gather everything you need, go to point B, and do a bunch of stuff on the way, maybe. But then that's the point. That's the end of the level. That's it. With this, the only really end point is just going to bed. Everything, all the in-between stuff is the stuff that matters.
I think it's fair to say we're intensely anticipating the next episode.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, cannot wait. I have so many questions. I mean, that's all it did. It answered nothing and it just gave you that's what a first episode's supposed to do. But still, I hate it so much. So yeah, Big Bad Wolf as well. I did look those guys up. They have got another game coming in 2021. Yeah, it's called Vampire the Masquerade Snowfall.
Yeah, because Vampire the Masquerade was a classic. Was it like an MMO?
Yeah, well, it's like a franchise, and like loads of different software game developers
a lot of people
have made their own versions.
Yeah, lots of people
franchise.
seem to speak fondly of it. It seems to be like one of those. Oh, remember Vampire? Didn't get a fair shot.
Yeah,
I've never played it myself.
There was supposed to be one release. I think there was one released in 2018 by one developer. One that's supposed to be released here now, but is obviously being pushed back by another developer. And then Big Bad Wolf, who made this, the Council, are making one being released for 2021, which is called Snowfall or something.
Was it the original Vampire released in the Masquerade released in 2004?
I don't know.
2005, something like that.
Apparently it's from the World of Darkness franchise or something like that, from the World of Darkness universe or something. I think they have another one called Werewolf the Asylum or something like that. I've never played these games before. They sound quite interesting.
When you say Werewolf the Asylum, it makes me think of an asylum turning into a werewolf.
Yeah, I suppose. No, but essentially you play as like 3 different vampires, but you have to play as all 3 of them to get all of the truth about whatever's going on in the place that you live in, or something like that.
Well, it sounds like it's right up their street anyway.
Yeah, it sounds like it's right up my street.
They'll do a good job with it.
Well, considering this was their first one, and we've only played episode 1, it looks incredible, it sounds incredible, moving is awkward, but it's just so seamless.
The environment is really fun to explore, really beautifully done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And quite rightly so as well, because you're going to be spending a lot of time just moving around the mansion. So they've done a really good job in making it a really interesting, detailed place to be.
Yeah. It makes you want to look around.
Yes.
It does make you want to look at every single painting. I want to look at every single painting now. I want to find out all the stories, man. I want to do all the stories. So yeah.
Yeah, that is the first episode of The Council, as experienced by us and relayed to you.
I just want to know more. I can't believe we are... Oh.
We will find out.
Yeah, we will find out. We'll play through episode 2.
So if anything we've said today has intrigued you, the first episode is available for absolutely free.
It's free.
On Steam. It's free.
You should totally play it. It's free.
It wasn't.
It was really... It's worth it. It's worth it. But now we have to wait to play it, so that's the crap part. So yeah, look out for that in the future. What are we talking about next time?
I have no idea.
Have I got the idea? I've got the idea.
We've got like a book full of ideas.
I thought we could do this one.
Oh yeah.
We play through that.
We're not letting you know what it is, by the way, just so we don't spoil the surprise.
Just for mixing it up's sake, next time we'll be having a go at Dance EJ.
Yes, we'll be having a go, making our own tunes, custom tunes. And grooving out like it's Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be good times.
Can't wait.
So be sure to tune in for that. Remember to wash your hands, take care of yourselves, and we will be back with another episode very soon.
Bye.